Hey guys, Jessica here. Happy 2025. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Jessica Anderson. I am an IBCLC and I'm the owner of Genuine Lactation. I specialize in supporting pumping moms and I have a niche specialty in wearable pumps. I am super passionate about wearable pumps, opening up the doors for a lot of parents to be able to pump who weren't able to pump with traditional pump technology. I know that a lot of lactation consultants will tell you that these pumps are crappy. They don't do the job, and I'm here to tell you that that is simply not true. They do come with limitations. We talk about that very, very openly. We're very transparent about what's working, what's not. But we're going to do this video today, and we're going to talk about our top wearable pumps going into 2025. All the pumps featured in this video, you can expect to spend between $200 to $550 on. These are our heavy duty wearables that we're actually seeing be able to be used for some moms, even up to exclusive pumping 8 times a day. So these are definitely not what I would consider to be our most budget friendly options. If this is how you're feeding your baby though, I do want you to remember it costs money to feed your baby no matter how you feed your baby. So for some people, this can actually be a very budget friendly option because it may be cheaper for them than the alternatives like formula or donor milk. So we will also have another video launching later this week on budget-friendly wearables that are $150 and below. So if you are looking for an option that is $150 or below, stay tuned and watch that video. These are our more expensive, heavier duty ones. So let's hop right in and let's talk about what we're seeing as we go into 2025. If you are watching this video and it is later than, oh, I don't know, February 1st, 2025, things could have changed. At least one of the pumps that we're going to talk about today, we know that there is likely a software update coming because the company is teasing it. All of these pumps are easily changed by manufacturers who change parts, who change software, the firmware on the pumps. Everything I say today could be not relevant as soon as I can get this launched. It does make it really hard. That is why we stay on top of it. I actually run a group called Wearable Pump Paperweight Prevention. You can join us on Facebook if you are interested in learning more about these pumps. And we are ruthless and overly transparent about what we see with these pumps. We have no loyalty to any one company. Our loyalty is to the pumping parents who want to use these products and need that honest feedback, which you will always get with us. So let's hop right in and let's talk about some of our top pumps going into 2025. So we're going to kick it off with the Willow 360. So if you've been on my channel before, if you go to my website, if you're in our group, you'll know that this pump it's the only leak-free pump. So this one has the ability to pump into bags. There are reusable containers with it, but when you pump into bags, this is actually leak-free 360-degree pumping, which means you can lay down and pump with it. You can bend over and pump with it. It is leak-free. It is a constant suction pump, which means instead of pull and release suction, it is pull and pulse, which means your nipple is under constant suction. It comes with its own limitations. You've got to learn what you're doing. This has a really steep learning curve, but it continues to be at our top list, even with all of its limitations and all of the headaches that come with this pump. This pump it does not perform like the original Willow Gen 1 and Gen 2s did. We really were fans of that pump. And the Gen 1 and Gen 2, the big difference was they changed how the pump connected. It used to have little clips and then got these magnets that we still see today. We were huge fans of that pump. We found it to be really successful. The 3.0 and the 360, they are not quite as successful, but until somebody else gives us a true leak-free option, this continues to be at the top. This pump is complicated to use, but we have been through the learning curve on this, and because it is our only option for leak-free, we continue to invest in learning the tips and tricks and strategies that you're going to need if you want to use this. If you want to buy this pump, I highly recommend doing your research. Just type in Willow 3.0, Willow 360, Genuine Lactation, and read everything I've written on it. Watch every video. Know what you're getting into with this pump because it can be a whole thing, a whole situation that you got to manage. But if you get it to work for you, we continue to love it. And I do still continue to see clients who absolutely love this. If you respond well to constant suction, most of the moms will get as much milk with this as they will with any other wearable. They may even get as much with this or more with this than what they do with other pumps. It really just depends on their body because constant suction is unique. My body personally loves constant suction, so constant suction wearables, it's kind of the best of both worlds. My body loves the suction and my body loves that I can do whatever I want to do while pumping with this. It's really hard to beat. So next pump, Willow Go. We will have a video out next week on Willow Go update. So you can see this pump has a little leak guard up here. It's not airtight. This is not leak free. If you have milk in here and you bend over, once you get to the point that the milk gets to the top of here, there is an air channel right there. It will come flowing out. But Willow Go is a pump that I have a really complicated opinion on because it used to have a lot of problems. Um, I've been following this pump since the very beginning. I actually love the technology that this pump is running. I loved the original settings. This last 2 months, we've seen an update to firmware. We're seeing them release new things like pump timers. You now have the ability to program the suction so you don't have to manually control it. And then they added this leak guard. I think it's actually stepping back into the realm of a really strong contender. When this first launched, it does have vibration, which is similar to the Spectra. So we referred to this as like a Spectra that sat in your bra. I think it's back to that status. There for a while, we were like, they changed it. They slowed it down in order to accommodate some issues they were having with overheating. These things were dying left and right. We're not seeing as much of that. I still don't think this is the most durable pump out there. However, Willow continues to honor their warranty. The only time we really see them not honor their warranty is either A, you didn't have a warranty because you bought it used and you got caught trying to defraud them, or you bought it off of Amazon or from a non-authorized retailer, which you have to be careful of with every pump company out there. Amazon allows people to hijack listings. I had this happen for parts that I just bought from Maymom. I was trying to buy a Maymom adapter to do some testing. It's sold by this third-party retailer. What arrived is not the right part. And the seller is like, well, tough luck. Maymom's not going to make it right. The seller's not going to make it right. And Amazon was like, well, it's used. You opened it, which means it's not eligible for warranty. Is that unfortunate? Yeah, it really is. And it's really frustrating. But it's not an issue for Maymom. It is an issue for these third-party sellers that are hijacking. So make sure you know where you're buying your pumps from. Double check. You only really want to buy it from an authorized retailer because warranty is important. But overall, this pump it's very easy to use. Once you get through the flangizing, the bra fit, the alignment, the vibration makes it really responsive. Now that we have this leak guard, I think it is going to be much more practical because as you can see, that hole is fairly large. There is a little like splash guard inside of it. They were really proud of that when they launched it. It used to be featured in a lot of their materials and their promotional stuff. But the reality is, with the way that moms pumped, especially a lot of moms who were filling up containers, this was definitely not performing as well as a splash guard as they would have hoped, and there were a lot of complaints about leaking. There for a while, we did see people stick stuff in here. There was a couple of different Etsy sellers that created like 3D printed plugs. We saw a lot of issues with that causing it to overheat. I'm not concerned with that because this does have that air channel. So Willow Go, definitely one that you can consider. Again, go and type into Google Genuine Lactation, Willow Go. Watch everything, read everything, know what you're getting into because there are just limitations to all of these pumps. So, and Willow is known for finicky, tricky pumps. However, at the end of the day, this is an incredibly good wearable and we've seen good success with it. Zomee Fit. So this one typically runs about $200. So definitely less expensive. You can expect to spend $250 to $350 on the Willow Go. You can expect to spend $500, if not $550 on the Willow 360. They do have a lot of sales these days, but those are definitely pricier. This is actually a little bit more budget friendly, but it's still a heavy duty wearable. I absolutely love the Zomee Fit. My only complaint with the Zomee Fit is it is loud. It is a lot louder than a lot of the other wearables. However, it's not really finicky to use. It does have 3 different modes, so it adds a traditional stimulation, an expression, and a mixed mode. So this is definitely something to consider. It just doesn't cause a lot of issues. It has really good cycle speeds, really good suction. It continues to be a strong performer. It's really bad for my business, for repeat clients, because once we get you working with it, you tend to not have a lot of problems other than the normal keeping on top of bra fit changes and flangizing. But other than that, this tends to be fairly easy to use. This is also the only one that we're going to talk about in the video today that does have a budget-friendly dupe that is less than $100. So we'll talk about that in the other one. But this has been a strong contender. We recommend this all the time and we see good results with it. And if I'm recommending something to my private clients who are literally paying me to know what pump is going to be best for their situation, you can trust that we're seeing good results with it because I am not going to do my clients dirty like that. That would be so wrong, and I don't do it. So we recommend this a lot, and we see really good results with it. You've got your Elvie Wireless. I have a lot of feelings on the Elvie Wireless, and this is the one that I am keeping my eye on because they're teasing that there is something new coming January 6th. What we know from looking at FDA data and FCC data is that they do not seem to have a new pump itself. Like, we don't think that they have actually changed the hardware or a substantial change that would require them to basically have it reauthorized. And when the video that they tease it appears to be this upper side of this. We don't know whether it's new, like maybe it's a new accessory for it, maybe it's new firmware. This one has been complicated. This one actually launched in 2019. This is actually one of the wearables that I used with my last baby. It had a lot of issues with leaking because, let me pull this apart. This bottle right here, you have a duckbill that's just sitting up against here, and there is a button that holds this in here, and there is nothing that stops milk from getting into the hub. So there was lots of leaking, and we always joke that this hub likes to drink milk, which it does. When we take these apart, we often find large quantities of petrified, nasty gunk and milk inside these hubs. So don't buy one of these used. It's actually kind of dirty. I don't even know how it qualifies as a closed system, even though it is technically listed with the FDA as a closed system, because it is not a closed system. There is a clear, easy to access path for milk to get into this hub. It's nasty. But this continues to be one of our best performing wearables because they came out with something called the Smart Rhythms. So the Smart Rhythms, which are, to my knowledge, still only available on Apple. My Android users are still having issues. It'll look like it's doing it, but it doesn't quite work. I don't know why they're not doing that. Maybe that's what they're teasing. Maybe they're gonna finally get their crap together and make this work. But the Smart Rhythms changed. Now you have the ability in one wearable to use what's called Heavy Collect, which means it actually uses the infrared sensor that's on the bottom here to try and detect the letdown and allow the milk to flow through the duckbill freely. When a duckbill is under suction and it's pinched closed, milk cannot flow through it. It's pinched closed in order to generate the suction, and then it needs to relax in order to let the milk flow through. So what was happening is that it's only a small duckbill, only a small amount of milk was getting through. This is an attempt to try and fix that. They do have a gentle cycle, which allows it to kind of smooth out that suction. It just doesn't feel quite as sharp. And then they have a multi-switch that allows it to switch between expression and stimulation. For my low supply moms, this has been a top wearable and has been for quite some time, especially if they're running it with the Smart Rhythms and the multi-switch, because it's allowing their body to get that normal flow of stimulation and expression that you would get with nursing. And it's also using really fast cycle speeds and really gentle suction, which means they typically do have to pump for 30 to 40 minutes with this, which is, may not be right, but low supply moms are not seeing as much leaking because the containers are not full. Once the milk is in here, it tends to stay in there unless you bend over or you have it really, really full. But this has been a really strong performer. I'm interested to see because they could essentially wipe this off the face of the map if they leak software that's not going to work. And we have no idea what they're sending out. And we haven't seen any evidence of like a large test group. Typically, when a company is testing things, it gets leaked into mom groups and we would be aware, but we have no idea on this one. So either they really found a group of testers that keeps their mouth shut, or it's not a huge, huge change and we'll just have to see how it plays out. So this is definitely one to consider. It's also really, really quiet and really low profile. So for the most part, this is one of our few wearables that's not really visible, just because the angle and the size kind of makes it blend in. It just looks like you're a little bustier than average. We really don't see a lot of issues with it. So this is definitely one that we like. So these are the Eufy wearables, and they do have two wearables. I'm showing you them together because a lot of people are confused because these are essentially the same program. So when you buy one of these pumps, you're getting the same program, the same features, but one of them has a little bit something different. But these are new on the market this year, and they've been really, really good performers. So let's start by talking about their S1. The S1 also comes as the S1 Pro. The only difference between the S1 and the S1 Pro is that Eufy does have a charging case. You can actually plug it into this nice little case, which I love. So this is a skin-like silicone texture. It's unlike any other wearable that we have currently. It is very, very soft and smooth and velvety. What we're also learning is that this has a lot more flex than average, and we'll have a video that comes out in a couple weeks that'll actually show you how much flex is in here. So instead of it sitting stationary against the breast, we're actually seeing a little bit of like a massaging action, which is good and bad. For a lot of people, it's helping. And this is also a warming flange. So there is a heating element right here that when you turn this on, you have the ability to turn on the heating element. So this flange actually warms up. What we know from the evidence is that warm flanges produce more milk and they produce it faster. So for some people, this is combining that heating element and it's also combining it with that massage factor. So a lot of people are responding really, really well to the S1 Pro. This is a smart wearable. It does have the ability to pump with different programs or rhythms, which means it does switch between stimulation and expression. Again, this does have that ability. It switches every 5 minutes on the program I'm seeing most success with. Where this one is a little bit limited is that it doesn't get as high of suction as some wearables, I think because a lot of it's being absorbed by this flange. And now that we really understand this flange is actually flexing and we can see it, it makes sense. We know that when you're using flanges like pumpables, we know that when you're using flanges like Pump and Pals in their silicone, Idaho Jones, Bear Shields, that flex that we get in that silicone decreases the suction because it absorbs some amount of the suction that the motor is generating. So this one does top out about 230, 240, but that is enough suction for most people. So if you are looking for that warming element, this is performing really, really well. This is definitely their more expensive wearable. I am going to talk about this one. It's just over, it's listed at 169 today, and then there are some discounts. So you could say that this needs to be with our budget friendly, but the smart features on this far exceed what we're seeing in the budget friendly category. So we'll probably talk about it in both. But this is their E10, and of the two models, it's no secret that I love shiny new technology. I love the fact that the S1 Pro S1 has that warming feature. I'm seeing really good results with it. I personally love the flex that it feels. I find it's really helpful. I'm loving this one. But I do love a good wearable, just like the Zomee Fit that just does its job and it does it very quietly. It does it without a lot of drama. There's not as much of a learning curve and it's easier for moms to manage. The E10 is exactly that wearable. The E10 is going to be just like the Zomee Fit in terms of this wearable is not going to be great for repeat clients because once we get it working, it just works. Where this is a little bit disappointing for moms is that Eufy charging case is so tempting because it works and it's fabulous and it makes me wonder why we haven't seen more charging cases. We are seeing one company supposedly bring a charging case in the new year, but it's Momcozy, so I don't have high hopes that it's going to work like it's supposed to or that it's going to last. I have put the Eufy charging case and my clients have put the Eufy charging cases through the ringer, like really testing it, heavy duty use. I have a lot of clients who are exclusively pumping with the Eufy pumps. I have a higher than average percentage of clients who insist on pumping with wearable pumps exclusively. So we get heavy use data back. These pumps are holding up to it. The charging case is holding up to it. The quality here is amazing. We are not seeing dead hubs. We are not seeing, well, not a higher than average rate. All wearables will die. All wearables can die. It doesn't matter how high quality is. They're small, undersized motors, and they're actually fairly easy to damage. But this is proving to be one of our stronger performers. It's not having issues. Now, this one does get closer to 270 to 280. This is going to look very, very familiar because if I just pull up over on my desk, you know, it's an S32. The S32 is just the model name of this pump that the Chinese factories are using. It's a patent number. It has been one of those stronger performers. I really hope in the new year we see more companies using this S32 body style and modifying it to meet their consumers' needs because every brand has kind of settled on different suction. So like if you're a Spectra user, you really like that vibration. So if you want to stay with that brand in a wearable, they really could create an option for you that matches their technology. This body style though, it is phenomenal. It doesn't cause a lot of issues. I love it has like a slight grip to the silicone. It sticks really well, which makes bra fit a little bit easier. But overall, like no matter how much I love the bells and whistles of the S1 Pro, the E10 is proving to be the stronger performer. And the fact that it's more budget friendly is kind of a win-win. I don't think you can really go wrong with either of them unless you're one of the unlucky ones that the S1 causes a little bit of pain We do think that that's probably related to the flex of the flange, maybe how the pump is cycling. It's got a lot more energy demand on it with the warming feature. But this one is if you want that technology that Eufy is running, but you don't need the heating element and you just want something that's going to do the job, maybe check out the E10. It is one of our more budget-friendly, heavy-duty wearables, and it is outperforming anything I expected. I really did not expect to fall in love with this one when provided with the shinier bells and whistles of the other one, yet this one continues to steal my heart all the time. I've seen really good results with it. Okay, so those are the ones that I am giving like the green light. Obviously I'm telling you they all have limitations, but we're seeing really good results with these. But then there's two more that I want to talk about because they're almost to the same level. Like there's some extra limitations. We're seeing a little bit more failure, but they're definitely ones that I'm keeping an eye on. And it's going to surprise some people because if you're around on my channel, I don't love Momcozy. That is not a secret. I am very transparent about it. Momcozy continues to have issues with their warranty. It has gotten better, but getting better than abysmal is still not reaching the standard that I think all pump companies should hold them to. They're still far below average in terms of their warranty coverage, and they continue to kick out new products. They're not testing them properly. They've got lots of design issues, but one of the many, many pumps that they kicked out this year that we've tested has actually been performing pretty well as long as it lasts. Still suffering from more motor failure than we should see. But that's our M6. This is actually, again, it's fairly similar to an S32 body. It is a little bit different in that this is a harder silicone covered plastic flange, whereas like the E10 is full silicone. You can see I can actually press in on this. It's got a lot of flex to it. So this is kind of this hybrid. It's got this silicone layer. It does have shorter than average inserts. I do hope that they're going to kick out another version of this and maybe fix that because they made it a little too low profile. We only need like another centimeter of tunnel length and then all of a sudden it's going to work. They did not make this one into a smart pump, which is kind of disappointing because they did then turn around and release the M9, and this could easily have been used as a smart pump. And if this had been used as a smart pump, then the big issues with this would have been the fact that this has a lower quality flange in that it is getting damaged. However, wearable pump parts are consumable. A lot of moms are going in with unrealistic expectations, and they expect that these are going to last for, 6 months of heavy use. They're going to be able to put them in a dishwasher. They're going to be able to put them in a sterilizer. Even if you take care of it, I would expect to have to replace all consumable parts on a wearable about every 90 days. Sometimes you get more lucky and you get a little bit longer life, but every 90 days is about fair. Duckbills are going to be even more often. The duckbills on this, they did make it out of a kind of a weird silicone material. We are seeing a lot of tearing in that, but that's an easy thing for them to fix. The diaphragm is fairly normal. All in all, like I've really liked what I'm seeing with this. And while the motors last, my clients are seeing success with it. They're seeing output that matches what we'd expect with a wearable, which is 80 to 90% of what they should get with a heavy duty pump like a Spectra. So this is continuing to perform. It does come with a lot of accessories. If Momcozy would get it together and focus on quality instead of kicking out new products, like if they kicked out an M6 version 2 and fixed some of their issues, fixed their quality, they could be a solid performer in the wearable pump category. Like they have the potential, but they're too focused on other things. They're kicking out new pumps. They're already kicking out another new pump. We've had at least 4 wearables kicked out by them this year, 2 portables, 2 versions of 2 portables. It's too much, too fast, and it's inhibiting their ability to produce the quantities that are needed. So they constantly have pumps that are out of stock because your manufacturing plant can only produce so many units at a time. And if you're trying to produce 8 different pumps, it's going to decrease, whereas they need to cut a lot of their failing pumps. The M9 is one. We don't need the M9. We never needed the M9. It's not performing. Take that same smart technology, put it on the M6, make some progress. But for moms who have this, or for moms who are able to get this for a good price, it might be worth considering. I can't speak to their warranty process because it continues to suck, and that is a problem, but it's almost there. With some changes, maybe next year I'll be able to actually recommend a Momcozy product without telling you, hey, the product itself, the M6 is actually a good pump. No more design flaws than what we're seeing with other pumps, a little bit more motor failure, but if they were honoring their warranty, this would jump into the category of, yeah, this is one to consider. It's almost there. The other one that is almost there is one that hasn't really caught on here in the US, and that is the Perifit Pump. So the Perifit Pump is actually one of our biggest wearables on the market. And I think it's been hard. So when you compare this, the Willow Go, the Willow 360 are kind of big, but this is even bigger and it juts out up here at the top, and there's a lot of dead space in here. So I think they actually could take this technology and they could modify it. What makes this cool though is that they're using a silicone flange very similar to Lactech in this, and it does have a little bit of a flex to it. It's a very soft, comfortable flange. Really, what we need is bras that are going to accommodate this. It does make it harder because a lot of, a lot of bra companies are not producing as many busty bras as we need. So for our busty moms, when we then go to try and use a wearable like this, which cannot be used with those extenders safely because then the pump is kind of top heavy. So if we only have a thin strip up here holding it, it tends to tip forward. But we have had really good luck with the Sarah Wells bras, with the Davin and Adley Amelia bras, with this pump. Overall, this pump has a lot of potential. It is actually one of our only pumps that can power pump automatically. I was really skeptical of that technology, but it's worked. Now, this is not caught on in the US. However, it originated out of France. And I have had quite a few French consumers who are clients of mine who have gotten this and have had really good luck. Is it for everybody? No. It is a little bit trickier than average to learn to use because there's a lot of options, very similar to Eufy. You can use fast, slow, medium cycle speeds. You then have programs to pick from. And sometimes this technology is actually exceeding what the average consumer can figure out how to use independently. If you're working with somebody like me and my team over at Genuine Lactation, they have not produced technology that is so advanced that we can't figure out how to use it. But we're also not immediately postpartum. We are experts in breast pumps and we understand the programming and how we can use it to match what's already been working for you and to support your needs. So we are seeing that this technology has a lot of potential, but it really hasn't caught on here in the US, and there have been complaints. The other thing is these replacement parts are a little more expensive than average, and then you get a pump that is really, really large. It's also kind of conflicting because this pump does really well single pumping, which matches the way a lot of pumping parents in Europe are pumping. They're pumping one side at a time, or they're nursing baby on one side, pumping on the other side, whereas US parents are primarily double pumping. So this size was probably okay with single pumping, but I can only think of a handful of my clients out of thousands here in the US that are single pumping. It's just not a common practice. I have had a few moms here in the US that were looking for a single pumping wearable because they had something called DMER, or dysmorphic milk ejection reflex. So they wanted something that would be really good for single pumping. It would be really fast, really efficient. This fit the bill, and they have had really good luck with it. So this is definitely one that, like, if it catches on here in the US, it has some potential. If you are struggling and you need more flex in your flange, you want those smart pump options. If you're somebody who is constantly power pumping and wants it to do it on autopilot, this could be something to look at. Just understand the limitations and understand that we've had a limited number of clients who have seen success with this because we haven't seen it catch on widespread. Until something catches on widespread, and I can tell you how hundreds, if not 1,000 people have had experience with it, it does get kind of hard to give as good a feedback. Whereas with Willow, I've had thousands. I know everything about that pump. With Elvie, I know everything about that pump. With Momcozy, the cult-like following for Momcozy means we immediately get hundreds, if not thousands, entering the group who are using it, and we know what's going on with it. Zomee has definitely caught on because it was covered by insurance. But Perifit is out here where I think it's got a lot of potential, and we're seeing good things with it. Eufy, I think it's going to really grow over the next year because I think you're getting in with insurance. Whereas, when you start out, when a new wearable launches and it's not covered by insurance and it doesn't have a cult-like following, it does kind of slow that kind of uptake in the technology, which slows our ability to learn about it, which is why months later, we're still learning about Eufy. We've had hundreds, but we haven't hit that like widespread thousands yet. But what we're seeing is really good and positive. So this is the lineup of wearables that I am recommending you consider going into 2025 if you are looking for one that we know is a heavier duty wearable. It is going to be a little bit more of an investment, but again, feeding your baby costs money. So if you are looking for a heavier duty option, these are the ones that we're recommending. Let me know your comments and thoughts below. Keep an eye out for the budget-friendly wearables, and we'll talk about the difference between those in the next video. Happy 2025 and happy pumping.